So by 2030, $100,000 will be equivalent to around 65,000. Effectively, this means that the natural level or percentage-wise average inflation will increase, which is not a surprise. And of course, we're not speaking about the CPI report. We're not talking about the production increase of the inflation. We're talking about the actual inflation that is not calculated based on the real basket of goods and services that people truly buy on a daily basis. So what this even means for you, personally and professionally? Well, if you have a business, you have to raise prices. Raising prices is painful. A lot of clients will stop using your service or stop buying your product. They will look alternatives. Recent studies that were published last month indicate that when the grocery prices increase, all the major shoppers, people who usually shop at least once a week in the grocery store, right, they stop buying branded stuff. They stop buying the brands of the grocery chain. For example, if before you used to buy some French provolone cheese, you used to buy, let's say, Italian, whatever, tomatoes. Now people go and buy the local Walmart brand, Target brand, local Target Trader Joe brand, right? So people scale down. People not stop buying what they need to buy, the necessities, but people downgrade the brand. So how do you actually prevent this happening with your company? By 2030, right? You don't want people to start buying someone who is undercutting your prices, right? You don't want your brand to essentially downfall because of lack of sales. Well, how you fix this is you start raising the prices little by little from now. So effectively you can calculate how much the percentage or the actual price of you keeping the same margins of your goods and services will be by 2030. Let's say, for example, now you operate on 40% profit margin. Well, when you adjust the average percentage inflation, you will understand that the buying power of your 100,000 revenue times whatever revenue you are making or you'll be making, your projection, of course, with estimated average growth. I'm not talking about if you're making 1 million for you to expect to make $50 million in whatever 4 years or 3 years. So when you actually get the average percentage inflation and when you compute the projected earnings, you will get the prices that you should set for every single year. Little increase. Maybe you will have to increase the prices every quarter, which means 4 times a year you will increase the prices, which basically means that every 4 years you have to meet this average percentage increase quota. Not to make more money, just to keep making the same margins. Understood? Not many business owners understand that, because this is not the basic economics. Basic economics is just following whatever the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports. People take their word as a nominal of value and truth. And I said, the models that they're using are not accurate because they don't really compute what people actually buy and sell. True inflation only measures on the individual basis. If I buy 10 products or services every single week, and these 10 product services are not included in the basket that Bureau of Labor Statistics measure, they don't really measure my personal inflation that I've got on products and services I buy or purchase. So it's all random. In most cases, is pretty irrelevant. So here is how we're going to approach the situation in your business. You are going to compute your potential revenue, and you're going to compute your prices adjusted with inflation. You're going to take the average percentage inflation. You're going to get any number between, I would say, 4 to 6%, because we're printing more money right now. Federal Reserve is printing more money right now. So you need to understand that when you take this average percentage interest between 4 to 6%, and you apply this spread out through the next 4 years, you will get the number that you should actually use, increasing the prices every quarter or every couple of months until the year of 2030. So when the year 2030 comes, you can keep your clients you can keep your revenue. Your buying power will be the same because you adjusted the prices with inflation, and you effectively didn't lose any clients because people used to having these small price bumps here and there. What will happen with other companies? They will be forced to increase the prices overnight. So what is going to happen? Well, when you increase the prices overnight, everyone will churn. Over 60% of the clients will churn. If we used to charge, let's say $10, and you wake up in your business and you understand inflation has rose for the last 4 years, let's say 12%, and you have to increase the prices of your goods and services with another $6 or $7, you do understand no one was going to buy. Maybe it's very slim, small percentile of people who really do not make any difference, don't see any difference between $10 and $19 or $10 and $18 will keep buying. But this won't be enough for you to cover the cost and the labor and whatever, right? The math will not matter at this very point. So after we solve this issue for your business, how are you going to adapt your personal spending, your personal expenditures? Well, presumably everything that you usually buy, clothes, accessories, vacations, absolutely everything will be more expensive. There's no world where things are going to get cheaper, especially on the commodity side. Commodity side is everything that is actually physical. Hats, sunglasses, clothes, merch, whatever. Why? Well, so far people had money. Inflation was kind of in control. But now with all the war spending, the inflation has gone out of control. So printing more money was required for keeping up with the war activities. So why this changed the math? Well, when everything got so expensive and when the money started losing faster and faster their value, people stopped buying as much as merchandise. So all this fast fashion, cheap shirts, cheap pants, they stop working because they don't produce. The company cannot use the economy of scale anymore. So the company cannot produce 100,000 t-shirts a day for a cost basis of 74 cents, right? So if they cannot produce 100,000 shirts, do the math. They have to produce 50,000 shirts. So the cost jumps double. So if they produce 74 cents a shirt, and now if they can produce only 50,000, so the cost basis jumps double. So 150 a shirt. So they cannot sell the cheap fast fashion anymore, right? Do the math. This is just figuratively speaking. We're not, using hardcore data. But just on the numbers, this is exactly how it works. And this is why the economy of scale for all these fast fashion brands and even the luxury brands which rely on premium will not be as effective. I'm expecting to see, listen up, I'm expecting to see, this is a very large speculation, but I'm expecting to see more and more people actually to start stocking up luxuries brands. I'm talking about high quality premium. I'm talking about cashmere coats. I'm talking about baby alpaca coats. I'm talking about, probably some of these females, purses that are limited edition. I'm expecting people to actually store value and exchange their money for some of these physical, limited edition, in high demand goods. Because this is definitely some way of, I would say, leverage and hedge against the market uncertainty. Because in the AI bubble, it's still 50-50. You still know, is the market going to bust or is the market going to continue running, right? We still have more tech companies to report earnings later this month. So pay very close attention. This is my largest and biggest speculation. I personally have purchased a couple of, I would say, relatively expensive clothing. Not for myself, I just exchanged. I sold a bunch of other, mid-tier brands and bought one very, very high-tier brand. Not for me wearing it on the streets, but me just keeping it as investment, because I know at any point in time I can just liquidate the item and extract much more cash. What I'm saying, let me simplify. Let's say I have 3 different P codes, right? Or just random brands. Let's say some mid-tier brands, whatever. And so each one of them, and with the purchase, with the budget, selling these 3 different P codes, I bought, European coat. Something like this. Exceptional difference between the liquidity of these expensive brands holds value, and it's easily, you can go and, I can go tomorrow and drop the coat at the pawn shop, right? And I can get 400, 500, 600 cash on hand. You cannot do this same thing with mid-tier brands. No one cares. Yeah, cool jacket, man. Yeah, I don't want to buy it. Because there is something else, except the intrinsic value. There is something attached to the longevity of the item. It's not just quality, it's not just brand, it's the value proposition. So keep this in mind. This is probably one of the biggest speculation, but something to keep in mind, okay?